Mhm.
Welcome, beautiful soul, to another Magi Monday. We are here today to discuss the card of financial creativity, the Three of Diamonds. And I am here with one of my very favorite people in the world today, who is not just a Five of Clubs, which we all know and love her for, but also a planetary Three of Diamonds. Please give a jazz hand welcome to the one, the only Kimberly Phoenix Rose DeWitt.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you are here with
Me
me this morning. And
too.
I know that we talk a lot about your Five of Clubs, right? Your Five of Clubs energy is is something that really balances out my Four of Spades energy. But we're going to talk about the Three of Diamonds today. And the Three of Diamonds is known as the card of financial creativity. All threes in the deck are considered very creative. So we'll talk a little bit about creativity for you. And then this one has the lens of the diamond. This is the season of the diamond. Fall season is represented by the suit of the diamonds, which represents our values and our finances. So when you take the creativity and values, the numerology and the symbology, that's how you get this card of creative financial, or the card of financial creativity. So let's start there. I know that you have had a few jobs over the course of your life. I want to know about some of the create your connection to creativity and yeah, the various jobs that you have had to over the course of your life. Let's start
Cool. I appreciate talking about this. This is fun for me because when I think about, I'm just recently updating my resume and I'm like, I have had to leave out quite a few jobs because I'm an educator and have been for over 20 years. And but I've done all these things, and when I think all the way back to, let's say, high school age, what even further back to elementary school, I worked. One of my first jobs was working at a residential care home for the elderly when I was in fourth grade. And,
there.
we got paid $3 or $4 an hour, and we would work in the kitchen, feed them. We might change some bedding. It was my friend's grandmother's place, and that was easy and fun. And then I worked at the racquet club near my house. Again, location, and I didn't have a car yet because I was not old enough to drive. And so that was a different fit because my parents were not like country club people, but
Mm.
there
Mhm.
was those types of jobs. And then in college, I think I did everything. I wanted to everything. So I need to, here's what we need to know is I went into college, everyone in the dorm life, and oh my gosh, it's so fun and energetic and active and everything's new. And
Yes.
somehow I got in with the marketing, which that might not have been what it was called, but really what it was is I did the posters around campus, around the dorms first. I made the announcements and I got to program the digital marquee, which was kind of new in the, I don't want to tell you what that
In the
was.
day, in the
In the
last
late, yeah,
century.
in the day, in the day. And so that was like, oh, cool, like a really old school punching in, and it was those dots marquee that like it's
Yes.
just red dots that go like this. So that was like my first foray into creativity out in the world, if you will, out in the world.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, that is a perfect example of, being creative and I would say for today, one of the things that I know about you, one of the very first events that you and I did together was the summer solstice event about a year and a half ago. And you came up with me early to this beautiful place
That's
in
great.
Cascade. And I'm very focused on the schedule, the agenda, like making sure, the logistics, all of the stuff that us fours do. And your car is just full of literally like sunshine and rainbows.
Totally.
Right? Like you brought out all this decor and
Yep.
and it was one of those things where I was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know how much I needed this." Like how special it makes people feel to have just that little touch where you had flower arrangements everywhere. You had those balloons, you brought sunflowers
To be
and
clear, they're like a lantern. They're for
yeah.
outdoors. They're like light nylon lantern, and hung a bunch of those. And yeah, I made the flower arrangements there, which was nice because outside you can just let the pieces fall where they may. And I
Right.
do have to give a nod to my mom because she was a florist for 30 years, and I never really paid much attention. It was like, go deliver this for me, be careful, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, oh, apparently that piece is coming through, which has been fun to observe
Totally.
the blossoming of that, if you will.
Right. Right. And then like going on from there, just little things like sprinkling glitter on your and as you go up the walkway to Phoenix's house, you are lined with gold glitter. It's just the little things that you do to infuse fun and creativity, like just really beautiful, like why not kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
And it just it feels good. And I have to say when I see that, I definitely see a higher side of creativity, the way that you just think in a creative manner. And even to this day, I mean, I know that you've had like a million jobs in the middle between, you know, the going to college and where we are now, teaching at a college. But I
Right.
also know that that's just one of your avenues, right? Like, and that's really when somebody who is not a three of diamonds, like myself, if I have a three of diamonds in my roadmap, specifically in one of those prominent positions, it's indicating a good time to diversify the ways in which I'm bringing in income to get a little creative around my financial avenues. And for you right now, I see you not, yeah, dividing your attention between this academic world of the university and stepping into your shamanic world of ceremony and just really helping people to elevate and to I, I love the word bask. That's one that you gave me. To
Yeah.
bask in accomplishments, to
Yes.
appreciate. So do you want to talk a little bit about what that feels like to, does it, yeah, to have these two different worlds?
Yeah. I feel really inspired to mention a couple other jobs though that I've had through the years. Is
Please.
that okay?
Yeah,
So
of course.
I also was a set and stage crew where you break up and you set up and break down before and after for the concerts that are on campus. I
Uh-huh.
worked in a women's gym. I was a kayaking tour guide. I worked with Outward Bound for a short summer. When I first got my teaching job in a public high school in California, I also did that kayaking touring, and I was working with a caterer, so special events, so things that could fit around teaching. And I kind of thought that, oh, there's everyone does that, but my curiosity is, so you would when you were teaching in a public school, you presuming you didn't have a family yet, would you not have ended up having these three other jobs?
No, girl, I'm a four of spades. I feel like one of the best ways
That's
that I've
hilarious.
heard it represented, and it's interesting because I'm not sure if it's your three of diamonds or your five of clubs or the combination, that sweet
Yeah.
magical combination that creates you. But Elizabeth Gilbert, the author of Big Magic and Eat, Pray, Love, she talks about there are two types of people in the world. There are the hummingbirds, you're a hummingbird, where you just flitter from
Yeah,
job to
for
job,
sure.
pollinate, like, and you know when it's time to go. And then there are the jackhammers, and the jackhammers, they just go, they dig deeper and deeper and deeper into something. So I really, my profession of a high school teacher, I went deep into that. I mean, the most that I did with it was travel, taking students to Quebec or to Europe, but it was all related around my teaching profession. I did not have another gig until my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were my gig, right?
Sure,
So
sure.
so no, yeah, it's not. I mean, that's just my
Uh,
inner. That's how I work best, is to be very focused on one thing, and I go deep in. So I'm a sledgehammer. You're a hummingbird.
yeah, that tracks. That tracks.
Yeah, yeah. So lots of different things
Yeah.
that always like seem to feed your joy. And I have to say, and we cannot have a conversation about the three of diamonds without mentioning that many of the grand masters of the Order of the Magi have deemed this card, and I don't know if I've shared this to be with
No.
you, to be one of the most challenging life paths. And when I say life paths, what we the moment we take our first breath, we have the solar energy of our birth date, and that's how this entire system of the cards operates on your birth date. You are a Gemini, so your birth card is that five of clubs, and as a Gemini, you're ruled by Mercury. So the Mercury card in the roadmap of a five of clubs is the three of diamonds. So it is like we all have usually two storylines. Leos, by the way, Jasper Mraz, who is sleeping right now, my dog. is a three of diamonds, Leo. It's the birthday
Mm.
I gave him and then went back. But at any rate, you have these two life paths. And the life path of a three of diamonds is considered a challenging, if not the most challenging life path for people who are very anchored into the material world. And there's a big distinction here. And the reason for that is because in your life path, you have almost all odd numbers, two sevens and two nines. Sevens and nines are the spiritual cards of the deck. So until that three of diamonds person can really wake up into their spiritual, mystical side, into searching for greater meaning beyond the material plane, until then, it can be very hard because when you have these moments, or if you are a seven, if you are a nine, these are spiritual cards, and a lot of spiritual awakenings come on the flip side of incredible pain and challenge and difficulty.
That tracks. I feel really, really good, solid, and grounded in my life now, but it definitely came breaking across the coals. And because mental health awareness was that September, it's always
Mm-hmm.
important. But I mean, this is something you might not know about me, is that I, for years and years, struggled with my mental health. And I thought, oh, well, if I were going to kill myself, how would I do it? And I never got far, obviously, but I never got super far down that road, but I entertained the thoughts a lot.
Hmm.
And I definitely struggled with mental health. And I think part of it, I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into that. That's a whole nother topic. But I would, at first when you were saying, oh, the life path is challenging, I was like, no, what? Though my path is pretty good. But what I'm realizing is right now, from about
Hmm.
5 years ago, my path leveled out in a positive way for me. It's been great all along, but it was definitely more high peaks and low valleys.
And
And so,
that's represented by those sevens. The sevens are the card that sits in the center of the suit between the one through six is on one side, and then the eight through king is on the other. And the sevens they swing high and low. And so energetically, that might be something that that you just felt those high highs and those low lows. And also embedded into every three, not just the three of diamonds, but all the threes in the deck is on the if you're not accessing your creative gifts, there is an underbelly of worry and just worry and indecision. And so it's so important, I think, for parents to know if you're raising a kid who is a three, how important it is to foster their creativity. It is so important. We need the creative beings to come up with the new ideas, to find solutions. You and I just recently met a three of diamonds when we were traveling in Colombia, who really shares, look at you, the way that
yes, I adore him. I'm so enamored with him and his whole family, but I just really was drawn to listen and take in everything that he is and was at the time when we met. Like, I love that he's an author. I love that he's lived this really amazing life.
Yeah, and he and
Just
it was interesting because I had shared with you, going in, I prepared the roadmaps. I was giving a talk on the soul purpose for the Lionsgate portal. So I got to prepare roadmaps for all these guests that we have never met before. And sometimes when I see that two people share the same card, I just gave you a heads up ahead of time. Hey, there's another three of diamonds there. And usually it is either like you said, like big love feelings, um, where you just see like you just soul connect and you just feel like a lot of shared energy, and or there's like a real like repulsion from the other person. And what I noticed in the soul roadmap, first of all, when I gave everybody their actual booklets, and again, we had just met these people. I have no idea who he is. Uh, Kind of a big deal, kind of a person, and he read that opening blip about the three of diamonds, about this challenging life path, about the worry and the indecision and the fear that can really pull someone down, like, the mental health stuff. And we didn't get to talk much about, the first 45 years of his life, because I think that there is a difference. You just referenced that. Like, there's in this system, the way it works is the first 45 years, we're living out our life path, and then our cards literally, the pattern repeats itself. Can't make this shit up, people. Like, when you quadrate the deck on the 45th quadration, the pattern repeats itself, and we get to live into our wisdom years. And it's often in that time where we take the shift from the mundane into the spiritual. We see things that aren't working and we want to do it differently. And he shared a little bit about that. Um, yeah. And I guess what I wanted to say for him is he had a big material world shift into the spiritual world. And what we got to experience was, I think, what I would consider one of the highest representations of this card uh,
Nice.
in its fullness. And he really does amazing things for the world. And we are grateful
Yes. Yes.
for that. So worry and indecision, how does that show up regularly in your life still to this day? Do you find yourself being indecisive or getting bogged down?
Um, yeah. So my mom worried about everything. She had some mental health issues, and in the 70s at that time, and they weren't doing as much. They're like, here's some Valium, go away. And that was not really helpful. As a matter of fact, I've often posthumously admired that she did what she could with what she had. And what I mean by that is working with flowers gave her the beauty and colorful part of life that she was craving. And I'm bringing this up, I'll circle back around, because that was her kind of way to self-medicate in a healthy way. And I would say at the time she would not, and I certainly wouldn't have been able to articulate that, but observing that and now knowing, I said I'd circle back around, but I think what I want to say is, in my 20s, when you move away from home and then you go off and have your own life, I was afraid of everything, honestly. And so at the time I'm like, I must just be channeling my mother's fears. So there was a shift in my early 20s where I'm like, I'm going to do everything that scares me. For example, I was afraid of heights, and so I took up rock climbing. And I did that for a decade consistently. I even climbed, if anyone knows, it's Snake Dike and Half Dome. It's not the hardest route, but it is, pretty exposed, and it gets you to the top of Half Dome in Yosemite.
Really, I
Yeah.
did not know you did that.
Yeah, the hardest climb I have, while we're saying this, in case anyone that's listening does know, the hardest climb I ever did had a 5'9" plus crux, and it was at Red Rocks, Nevada, and it's called Black Orpheus, and that pushed my limits really. We topped out at dark. That was a problem, but that's for another time. But again, like with going from being afraid of heights, the very first time I tried rock climbing on a high school camping trip in my teens, my feet were only maybe 4 feet off the ground, and I'm stuck to the rock, terrified. I'm like, I can't go up.
That's as far as I've ever made it, rock
It
climbing.
it was terrifying. And so now I'm climbing something that's 1,000 feet tall. So good job, me. I'm afraid. I used to be afraid of the deep end of a swimming pool, like for real, like the drain and the deep, and especially if you're at an outside mountain lake, like anything under the rocks or where you can't see. I was terrified of that. So little by little, I've forced myself to just go swimming when other people were there, or go out in the ocean. Another one, let's see. Well, I'm not, I don't, yeah, anyway, you get the idea.
Yeah, where you were not going to take, and I see a little bit of the Five of Clubs in that, because the Five of Clubs is the one who has that restless spirit of adventure. Like, let me just try it, let me just do this, let me push my limits, and it's very, yeah, very adventure driven, and I do like that, because you can see the both parts, and that's why it's really helpful to understand your two roadmaps, that your three can worry. And of course, everybody's life is totally different. How we play our cards is totally different. The upbringing that we have does impact us. So you're a May 27th birthday. So that is this birthday of which we speak. There are other May 27th birthdays that are not living the life that you have chosen to live. They might be still what I just call, low vibing, allowing fear to overcome them, kind of overriding their sense of creativity and how important it is. And again, you're not a florist. You do not make a living doing that, but you do infuse the creative artistic display of
Yeah.
flowers in a lot of what you do. And I associate that with you to
I
help you
love it.
connect to the land as part of
Yeah.
your INjoy Outdoors.
I
Uh,
mean, I mean, for real, anyone who's listening, here's what I would recommend. Go the next time you're out, even if it's at the grocery store, look at the flowers a little closer and look at the sacred geometry that's just in that middle part. Sometimes it's that sacred little, I don't remember the name right now, but sometimes, like, this is the magic. Like, what, yeah, I'm buying flowers because they're pretty. I put them on my table, and when they die, I'm gonna, get rid of them. But there's so much when we're ready to take it in at the next layer, right? Here's the onion of life. Flowers, pretty, right? Then take the layer off and look at what else is there in that. It's like these are all these little gifts up from the planet that we
I
can appreciate at whatever level we're ready to appreciate it.
I love that so much because one other thing that's really important to know about the Three of Diamonds is that the Grand Masters of the Order of the Magi, many of them have been Three of Diamonds people
Mm,
because you have in your roadmap, you have the Ace of Spades is the very first card in your roadmap, which represents this system. So this mystical wisdom, this mystical, and that's what I was seeing when you were talking about that. Many people, myself included, I'm looking at the flowers actually that you gave me
yeah.
that are on my mantle, and they're beautiful, and there are times that I meditate more profoundly on it, but the fact that this is just embedded in you, that you can see like the sacredness, the spiritual gifts in everything from a flower to, the animals to just how we connect with ourselves and the land. It's really awesome. And we need people to remind us of that. So I always love when you and I get to create an event together, when we bring people together. I mean, and just to speak to the last event that we did for the equinox.
Yeah, oh, go. I want to hear what you were about to say, the
No,
meaning
I
of
was just laughing because I remember thinking very much in my mind, like, that this will be an evening event and this is what it will be. And, like just kind of pinged it back to you. I'm like, well, what are you thinking? And you bring up this whole idea about how you want to take people on paddle boards. Have a ceremony in the water with paddle boards to create these floral offerings of gratitude and release them in the water. And I'm like, holy shit. Okay, this we're gonna have to change the
Yeah, it went
timeline.
from an evening event to an all-day event. Meet us at 12:30. Like, and
Yes.
people showed up. People were up for it. Like, how cool is that? And
A
didn't you
hun-
say you had two, maybe three people said that was the hook that got them? Like, well, I wanted to try paddleboarding, but I haven't ever, or I don't have the whatever it is, right? We don't have the
Right.
motivation or the time or the whatever.
Right. And that's one of the things that you give me all the time as a friend. You demystify what some of us might consider hard, or we haven't done it before, so we don't know how to do it. But just to have a friend who's just like, well, let's just go. Let's just put paddle boards in the water. It's not a big deal. You can rent them. They're right there. And you're like, oh, yeah, why don't I do this for myself? And sometimes it's because we are, my brain thinks very inside the box, and we've had loads of conversations about that and how you help my four have a little bit more sense of freedom. And also with the three, also it's like just break it up, like be a little bit more creative, be a little bit more playful. And what I think I want people to know is how important it is, once again, that we foster the creative inner child of anybody who has a three as one of their cards. The creative imprint of this card is essential, and it's one of the ways that you can overcome the worry, the fear, the doubt, the indecision, is to just get into something creative, creative floral arrangement, or even doodling or coloring. Anything that you can do that
Yeah.
allows your mind to kind of flip off and spirit to move through, because it is a big part of your roadmap as a three.
Well, I would like to counter that or add to that, probably is better said, that one of my pet peeves is when people say I'm not creative or oh I'm not a good artist. It's like for one, we're not entering our painting at the Louvre, right? Like let's like why did we learn that in school that I'm not a good artist like that? Where does that I that's a whole another we have lots of topics to cover later. But no, but the idea of like, for one, it can be a practiced skill. You're getting your reps in. I love that term that our friend Kelly reminded us of.
Yes,
And
Tinkerbell tribe.
yeah, and so thinking about like get your reps in, it doesn't mean you have to be great at it. It means you're exploring. And I think we're so busy based on the traditional methods of schooling that we were trained out of doing things that gave us joy. Many of us, not everyone, but that traditional method of schooling was made at the Industrial Revolution. I think it sounds like a stretch, but it matters. And I worked in schools for 20 years and I've done the research, I've seen the reports, and I know from what I do in my own classrooms where bringing back in creativity and community building and collaboration has grown. And I want to tie that back to what you were saying, like you say you need some of what I've got, and I definitely need some of what you have, because for me that organization piece is a bit more of it's a heavier lift.
Right,
Just
right,
to be
right,
nice
right.
about
You
it.
need a little anchoring, a little grounding,
Yes.
something that,
So
yeah,
so we were trained in traditional schooling out of collaborating. Do it on your own and don't cheat and don't look at anyone else's paper or
right,
you get an F and then
right.
you have to, right, stay with
Yeah,
the principal or whatever. And
yeah,
now it's like, no, when we collaborate, it gets bigger and more, just more, right?
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
we all learn and grow from that. And I think that ties back into I think I'm not creative. Well, oh, that's what the piece I wanted to say was you were mentioning that. I always I scroll through the Facebook activities like, oh, there's an online painting course. Here's an in-person one. Oh, here's a honey jar
Yeah.
decorating event or here, like even though I don't end up attending them always, but I love looking at what's being offered because if one strikes my fancy, so to say, I would do it, and or I'd figure out how to make time for the next time that they offer it. And I think if we're giving suggestions, like start there, right? Like start with what fits in your already busy schedule. Um,
Yeah. And then also your joy. And that's what you were talking about. Like there's something that our society has done such a disservice to the creatives of the world. And whether it's financial creativity and how you can be profitable in a business, going back to our friend we met in Colombia and how he really grew like this crazy um very lucrative empire, but from a material plane.
yeah,
And then life sent him a gift that transformed his work to being
yeah,
really powerful philanthropic work. And actually, I'm gonna put a link to his foundation
great.
in the notes. It
That's
is
a great
the
idea for people who are interested.
yeah, the Child Freedom Rescue Organization.
Child Liberation Foundation,
Thank you.
nonprofit.
Child Liberation Foundation nonprofit, Sound of Freedom. Um, this
Movie.
is who we were blessed to get to spend some time with in Colombia. But back to the creative aspect of just doing something that feels good because it feels good. If it's, it doesn't have to have a purpose. You do not need to be because you like to watercolor doesn't mean that you need to make a living watercoloring. It's just allow yourself time to watercolor, whether you're just going to take a class or if you're going to offer a class on the side,
Mhm.
uh, do it. If it feels good, do the thing that inspires and fosters your creativity because you will find more joy and more connectiveness to your creativity. And then that just raises your vibration. And then those around you, it just ripples out and beyond when we are in our fullest. And I feel so passionately about people understanding their soul essence, particularly those who are the creatives, because I feel like our society has done the greatest disservice
Mhm.
to the creative path. And how many times have, I can even hear it in my own childhood, like stop daydreaming or get your head out of the clouds. And that actually works well for me because I'm like, okay, I'm pretty grounded and I'll be focused then. But others, it's just kind of like it's counterintuitive. And then you have these thoughts of self-doubt and like, well, what am I doing? Who am I?
Yeah, for
How am I
sure.
to serve? Yeah, there's so much more to say about the Three of Diamonds. It is a very interesting life path, as I shared, often deemed one of the hardest. And yet, when whatever life hands you, it is your responsibility to choose how you are going to use the cards that you were dealt, how you are going to elevate up. And that's what this system helps me to help people see that every single one of us is designed in a certain way. You and I work so well together because you have that creative, fun, like imaginative spirit. And then I'm like, okay, let's anchor it in. Let's like do the things that need to be done. But there is also lots of love energy embedded into this card. But that is once again another topic for another day, or else we'll be here for 6.5 hours just chatting
I
with.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So thank you so much for
Thanks for
being here.
choosing me.
Phoenix, yes. And I will list all the birthdays. There is a birthday for every month of the year. Again, the suit of the club, the mental mindset suit, and then the suit of the diamond, the financial and value suit. There's one for every birthday. So they will be listed below. Spades lead out the year and hearts finish out the year in birth cards. And I think we'll just leave it with that. That it's been so fun chatting with you, and I look forward
Yeah.
to our next adventure where we are in
Oh, save the date in Trinity Hot Springs in Idaho. We are gonna lead a weekend getaway during the winter solstice.
the winter solstice. So December 20th to 22nd. Details are going to be hitting the inboxes real soon, or your ears sharing about how we can just honor the transition from fall into the winter season into my season, the spade. I'm really excited to just offer these transitions and in a sacred place where we are going to be in these very, very elevated, high vibe healing waters. So if you have travel to an amazing hot spring on your bucket list, just start by saving those dates, December 20th to 22nd, and you will get to be the recipient of the beautiful creativity of Phoenix, stepping into INjoy Outdoors, that side of her personality. And you will have me, the curator of transformational retreats, uh, helping bring the magic to you. And we are looking forward to that. So come
Yay.
back next week,
Yeah.
Magi Monday. We will continue the narrative of the diamonds with the card of financial security, the Four of Diamonds. Thank you, Phoenix, so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks. Thanks for listening. Thanks for
Yeah.
taking your time today.
And here we go. Let's do our love fingers. Here's to love and joy in the journey. She's teaching me new ways to do this.
It took us 10 minutes to figure this out the first time. Now I can
Look
do it
at
in
us.
less than 10
See?
seconds.
I say, old dog can learn new
But
tricks.
the new one is this. Wait, the new one is this.
What?
Like
That it's just
millennials.
like a finger heart, like a that.
Go ask your kids. I don't even know. Yeah, like it's like right, like let's make it shorter. Let's make it take less time. It's like what
Oh,
is
and here comes Jasper. Come here. Come here. We're gonna finish things out with come here. Come here. This Leo Three of Diamonds. Come here. You get
Hi
it.
Jasper.
He's
He's
like,
like, I don't
no,
want to.
I only want to be center stage when I want to be center stage, and that is not right now. But all right. Thank you for being here, y'all. See you next week. Here's to love and joy in the journey. Ciao for now. And stop.